Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sellik the Thunder podcast. Once again brought to you by G4 Claims here in the lovely G4 Claims studio. Make sure to go check out all their links in the description below. It's time for episode number 52 of the podcast, and as always I'll ask, or from time to time ask, can you name any famous 52s or maybe unfamous 52s in Celtic's history? Anybody that comes to mind at all? It's quite a tough one today, boys, must admit. Any? None? There's one that's really recent, as recent as 2022, I must say.
52?
Yes, 52.
I don't know, is that Ben Doak?
No, it's not Ben Doak.
No.
Any guesses, Cal?
You just run blanks.
Right, well, the options would have been Ewan Henderson, who's currently on loan to Hibs, of course. Ewan Henderson, Joe Thompson, who came up as an answer in the last quiz, if you remember, and Paul Caddis. There's all your...
I definitely would not have got that.
not the most pleasant of days. But welcome back, everybody. Hello and welcome to the surprise edition of the podcast, a last minute organised one to preview a European week for Celtic. We're back in European action, and I'm joined by two fantastic guests. Number one, Callum Craig, who's sitting in McGinley's seat. McGinley's not here. You have replaced him for this evening. How are you doing, mate?
Not bad. It's nice to see the booster seat get removed. That wee joke. No, it's nice to be back. It's nice to have a sort of wee run of shows for a change.
I know, that's I think 3 or 4 straight you've been on, I think.
He's a match ball.
That's nice. You've had a busy week, obviously. Yesterday you were having a wee drink or two. How was the birthday celebrations for the missus?
They were good. It was nice to just sort of go out and enjoy ourselves. 2 birds, 1 stone, sit at the window now on the Christmas. 2 birds, 1 stone for me and Kieran. No birds, no stones. Poetic, yes. That was, you set me up nicely there, Cam. Did you have a lovely lonesome Valentine's Day?
Oh, aye.
And
what did I do my Valentine's Day?
What did you do?
Whole lot, nothing, but
Watch a telly, a lot of telly.
Oh no, it was made worse by Peterhead versus Dundee.
Did you actually sit and watch that?
It was on the background, but even it been in the background ruined my night.
Well, it's a lovely 21 straight Valentine's Days for myself, which is great. So the advertisement board is there. Kieran, a lot of people were asking, you weren't on the last show obviously, but a lot of people were asking, were you having a drink this week? We were off it this weekend, and we're struggling.
Rattling.
We are really a shell of ourselves for a weekend without any drink, but don't worry, we'll be coming to a local establishment near you for a night of singing of freedom songs. Yes, that's
you come in and arrest me.
I'm a political prisoner in my view. So we'll get a drink, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. Kieran will be back and rough at some point, so you don't need to worry too long. But a statistic that was brought up by Kean on Twitter, shout out to Kean, a listener of the show, the last time McGinley wasn't on an episode of the Sellik the Thunder, we went on to win a European game 2-0. So there you go. So hopefully more luck this week, McGinley. Stick that. Yes, it's of course a nice transition there into what is the main beef of today's show. We're going to be talking a lot about Celtic's return to European action, Conference League football on Thursday. Kieran Auld, I'll start with you over there. Are you looking forward to our first ever appearance in UEFA's new competition?
I mean, I am looking forward to it. There's a lot of people that are maybe turning their nose up at it, but at the end of the day, it's a European night. It is a third-tier competition, so it's not got the same glitz and glamour as even the Europa League, but even then, that's not the nice glitz and glamour, is it? But I suppose, I don't know, it's good that we're still in European football. It would be nice if it was still Europa League, but we need to take what happened and hopefully go and actually get a professional win on Thursday, but I'm sure we'll come on to the logistics in it.
We'll come on to the game itself. Callum, I believe you'll be there on Thursday as well, won't you? It'll be weird. We've seen obviously a lot of photos surrounding the kind of ticket sales and how it might not be as much of a sellout, but you know,
it's literally just individual tickets from me. Apart from like the was it 1-2-1 or something, the pure like blocked view. I'm pretty sure all of them was like just you can't get like 2 seats together.
That's not bad then. That's not bad. But it's a new challenge for Celtic, and it's an opportunity. I think, of course, you know, we need to pass every team we play, including Bodo. But I think this competition is something that, you know, we've heard the manager say he's not going to take lightly. It's an opportunity for us to grab it with both hands and try and make amends for what's been, you know, a poor European record of years gone by.
Definitely, I think with us being sort of like the first year of the tournament as well, so it is interesting. It's not something we've seen as of yet, so it would be nice if we could go and a wee run on it, especially being the first time round, as you said, and just not taking it just as any sort of passing game, is taking it very serious. So looking forward to Thursday.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult game. I don't think that there's any need in the, I think that Celtic have been given a tie, which is probably a winnable one. It's a team Celtic should be beating. But we're looking at a decent side here, and we'll come on to talking a bit more about them. I want to talk about, I made a video today and it was about Celtic's chances of winning a quadruple. I know you've got to prioritise certain things and you've got to wait till you've won a treble before you talk about a quadruple, but this is a big chance for Celtic, isn't it, Kieran? The fact that we can go and try and push for, I know that it's probably quite unrealistic to say Celtic will win a quadruple this season. I'm not going to say that that's the expectation levels, but we've heard Dan just comments, and you've heard him say, I think his wording today exactly was, listen, he was World Cup manager for Australia and he went into that competition thinking he could win the World Cup, and he's going to treat this competition the way he would any other. It's the kind of attitude that makes you think, well, hold on, we can make a right good go for this.
I mean, it's one of the ones where it's a new competition. If draws go favourably, we perform the way we can perform, then there's no reason why you can't set your ambitions as high as that. But realistically, I've seen enough performances for Celtic in Europe to know that is not that is not happening. So, but I just don't want us to. I think even thinking the short term, but with this game coming up on Thursday, I feel like Celtic fans were quite, I don't know, quick to write teams off, even if we don't mean to. Like this team are no mugs.
No, I know
they really are. And I don't like when Celtic play the big teams in Europe because we could get pumped, but at the same time, when we're the team that's deemed the favourites, I feel like we don't really cope too well with that. I mean, we've done it alright against Ferencváros in the group stage, but in previous years, playing 8 days like at Copenhagen, that was an absolute shit show. But I don't know.
In response to that, Callum, we've seen that, and Kieran's touched on that in years gone by, Copenhagen being the prime example. We've went to games. Do you think this is an opportunity now for Celtic under new management to show that things have changed? The bottle has came in and we're a bit more competitive and a bit more belief. Do you think this is a time to now try and turn that around?
Definitely. I think you look at some of the results within the group stage, like we weren't far off some of the results we could have took, like Betis away, for example. We took your lead, we were looking well, and also it just was sort of that 15-minute
even Leverkusen as well,
just away, and then Leverkusen after that. We can go and compete with these teams in Europe now. It's just the fact that with this manager now, with Ange's sort of mindset and his positivity, it's something fresh. It's not like, I think it's more success the first run we've had in Europe, because obviously other managers we've had him for a couple of years, we see how they've been, because how positive he's been. I'd like to try to kick on with him for sure.
It's mad that at the start of this season we were knocked out of the Champions League by Midtjylland, and suddenly a lot of people's heads were fuck this, like we're going nowhere. And now there's people, including ourselves, saying, well, we could win a quadruple this season. It's mad how things change. Kieran, what would you say is your expectation for this competition? Is it simply to try and just progress and become a better side in Europe?
I mean, if you take it game by game, if as I said, if the draw goes away, we could go a decent distance. If we play the way Celtic can play, then I have belief in this team that we could go far in it. But it'd be naive to think that we're guaranteed a pure easy run to the final. There's some hard teams in this. I mean, I think people are quick to forget like some of the teams that are actually in this. I'm not saying they're world beaters, but it's teams that could give us a game.
Yep.
But if we've got any realistic ambitions about progressing forward, we need to think we can beat Bodo, and no try to disrespect the opposition on that, because as I said, it probably will be a tough game. But you can't underestimate people in Europe, but you don't deserve to be there if you don't think you can get past teams like this.
Yeah, so let's try and talk about the game itself. How does Celtic approach this? How do we play? European nights are always a bit fun because you never really know what to expect, especially teams like Bodo. We've never ever seen them play. I don't think any used to have sat down and watched a Bodo game anytime recently. Yeah, was the important thing ultimately being at home first, just making sure they stress the importance and leading going into that second leg.
Definitely, I think as you've touched on there, but the first leg being at home, you need to sort of go out and get that strong start. Like as daft as it may be, like the game we were sat and watched tonight, like PSG Real, we'd have thought PSG could put like a dominant performance. If you can go out, get a couple of goals and give yourself that safety net for the away game, it's massive. Like the Easy Alkmaar game at the start of the season,
that's right,
like that, for us to have like a strong performance at home, it gave us that safety net that we knew going over there a goal would do us, and thankfully did.
Kieran, what about you? What you expecting for Sellik? All out, guns blazing, same as what we've seen?
I don't think he's going to change anything for this game. So I don't think he would for many games, to be honest with you. But I know we're going to go for it. There's no way we're going to go out there on Thursday and no go for it. But as Callum said, it's important to get the home one, a very good home performance, because it's got to be tough conditions over in Norway next week, and it's not exactly a game. It would be a game that would be nice to rest a good few players in if we got the result here. But as I said, Celtic away in Europe just fills me with the fear. So again, it doesn't matter who the opposition is. We've seen it in plenty of times. We've made it very difficult for ourselves. So if we can give ourselves the best possible chance of going earlier and not having to put in as much of a shift, but I don't know. It just the fixture congestion coming up as well. It's going to be a lot of games. Yep. So it'd be nice if we could maybe rest some of the big hitters. But even then, I don't think Ange will take it lightly, especially after what we've seen at the weekend. The performance levels dropping quite significantly.
I was actually going to
in the first half.
I was actually going to bring that up next. There was 2 points I wanted to bring up. First of all, I want to get this one out of the way. When we go up to the Arctic Circle, who's going to be the player to strut about in their short sleeves and shorts? Who's it going? We've not got Brown anymore. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, that's quite a question.
It's quite a question, isn't it? I mean,
Cal McGregor will probably try it, but I don't
can he pull it off?
He'll have the Under Armour on.
Wee Jesse. I think we have lost that edge. I think that's gone. Without Brown, it's not there. But the one thing that I did want to touch on that you brought up, Kieran, nicely to bring in was Rafe Rovers. We've not really spoke about this, and we've not really brought that in. I think at the weekend, Callum, we've seen the difference in this Celtic side when there is changes made and when there is players who aren't quite hitting the high notes. When we seen the likes of Jota come on the park at the weekend, it was night and day, and they're going to be huge for this game on Thursday.
Definitely. I think that Ange even his comments said we're not 45-minute performers. As even the video with the mic'd up session at the start of the season, we keep going no matter what. So I think you noticed, as you said, night and day between like Mikey Johnston, Jota, at the wide side, and then even like Forrest. It's
Jesus. Kieran, I see you smiling earlier.
No, just Betty's put the bottle down at the same time. I wonder if that's going to be one of the ones that's perfectly in sync without meaning it.
I'll see you back when I'm editing that. That's one. Do you know what? I actually skipped out completely on my notes for today's show. I've got nothing here about Rafe because I thought it's a cup game, straightforward. We've said everything we've had to say. You've seen opinions everywhere. We don't really need to bring it up. But Kieran, there was a sort of eye-opening in that game to certain players, wasn't there? It was a bit. We sat there obviously at the game at the weekend, and it was dire viewing for some people in that park on Saturday.
I know, it was
Sunday. Sorry,
it was a grueling watch, to be honest. But I don't know. I don't like to add to the pile on certain players, but for a couple of people that will remain nameless, it is very clear that
I wonder who.
I wonder who. But it's frustrating because I don't know. I just feel like going forward, they're not doing themselves any favours if they want to be in Angie's plans next year.
And it's like those sort of performances, at least it helps identify for Thursday who's really the starters. I mean, we already knew there was no doubts, but I think it kind of just stresses it. Let's talk about the opposition, because we have said they're no mugs. Bodo Glimt, for people watching, you may not know an awful lot about them. You may just recognise their name from wins in this competition, in fact, because they had a very, very strong showing. They finished second in their group that contained Jose Mourinho's Roma, but they pumped Jose Mourinho's Roma 6-1
and then got a 2 each draw
at the Olympico, which is insanity. Just to read out a little bit about them, they've won the 2020 and the 2021 campaigns of the Norwegian Elite Serien. A very impressive rise over the past few years. They've really just came out of nowhere. I hadn't heard of them until a couple of years ago. Very impressive rise. We said that a 6-1 win and a 2-2 draw with Roma in a group that contained Zorya and CSK Sofia. Their last competitive game of football was December 9th, 2021. That was their last competitive game. They have been playing friendlies, a couple here and there. They had one, I think, at the weekend. But since that game as well, their last competitive game on the 9th of December, they have sold their 3 key players, their 3 biggest players. Erik Botheim went to Krasnodar in Russia, Bjorkan ended up at Hertha Berlin, and Patrick Berg, the one that was on the lips of many a Celtic fan, ended up in Lens in France. So you're looking at a side that is probably going to be trying to get up to speed a little bit, but this is the kind of thing that I think before in the past we've seen Celtic fans take a wee bit lightly. We've seen Copenhagen, they hadn't played, I think, a lot of football, and yet they still managed to get a result. Does it really matter, Callum? Are we still looking at a professional outfit here? What's your thoughts?
No, definitely. I think, there's a reason they're all professional football players. They're out there to go and do a job. I think it should never be a task taking, like I said, 6-1 against like a Roma. It's massive a result for that, a team of that. I think it's the Copenhagen thing again. I think they only played like their first league game on like that weekend, and then we played them the Thursday. You look at that, they give us a run for their money. The performance they put in, so it's
about getting over complacency, innit?
Aye, definitely. I think personally, I feel as if there's a few players in that team, again, they'll remain nameless, but I think you just need the big hitters.
Kieran, what's your thoughts? You're always quite, as we always say, the sort of what's that word again?
Would you go as far as pessimist?
Pessimist. I don't want to say pessimist because that would imply that you're just constantly negative and bringing us down.
I like the term cautious optimism.
That's nice. That's good. Well done. You've always got that cautious optimism. Is that what you're just thinking going this? Because it's very easy on paper to say, yeah, their best players are gone, they haven't played football, this should be a walk in the park. But I don't think it's as straightforward as that.
Nah, I feel like you're being naive if you think that it will be a walk in the park. I think we're talking about Copenhagen and how it's still kind of fresh in our mind 2 years on.
Aye.
But I think the fact we've got the home game first and we can go out and do the damage, and then going away from home, I don't think we will get complacent because we know how poor sometimes we've played away from home. Whereas in Copenhagen we got the draw and thought, we might get a draw there, we'll surely do the business at home, and we got embarrassed. So hopefully, as you said, it's a new team. Most of the players that played in that game are no longer at Celtic or only in the team. So hopefully it is about breaking that hoodoo, but because obviously we did still drop 2 leads in the group stage this year, but they were against pretty quality opposition, so you can't really fault the players for that. But hopefully it is just turning a corner and we can go out and, as I said, do a professional performance and hopefully get a few goals past them, keep a clean sheet.
Yeah. So when is the return leg play? Is it next week or is it
next Thursday?
Is it next? So it's just directly after, right? That's why I never knew if there was a
Champions League leaves it for a few weeks, whereas
that's right. But they have to rush these because of the extra round, of course. Same with Europa. Well, I mean, next week or whenever we have the next podcast, we'll probably be talking about the carryover or whatever. We'll see whenever the next podcast falls. But before we move on to the next topic of today's show, let's do the final sort of section of these match previews. Let's talk about what we think the team will look like. Will there be much rotation? Score predictions, etc., etc., etc. Now, I think we're all in agreement that the team will change massively from what played at the weekend. So let's try and run through what we think will happen. In goals, Joe, naturally. Back four, do we think we'll return to the best back four?
Yeah, absolutely.
Juranovic, Vickers, Starfelt. The question is, who is the best left back?
That's the left back.
I think Taylor will start.
Yeah, I think so. It would make sense. Also, there is that. Obviously, that choice you can make of putting Juranovic out left, Ralston out right, that there as well. But I think
just keep it with Juranovic coming back into the team for this game and then Taylor on the left. Yeah,
now the midfield three, that's the interesting one. That does have a few options, and I think one thing we've got to mention about this for people who may not know, you should all know by now, but Celtic were allowed the opportunity to register 3 new players for this round of the competition. In that, they have chosen to select Matt O'Reilly, Rio Hatate and Dyson Maeda. So that means Yosuke Ideguchi isn't part of.
I think that's what everybody thought would have happened, to be fair.
I think it's nothing on Ideguchi's part, but I think the injury certainly didn't help, so we got to see far more of the others. So the midfield three, it allows a good conversation. What's your thinking, Cal? What three do you think you'll go with? I mean, he's got such a sore head in this election because everybody's sort of on form at the minute.
I think we'll probably try and stick with McGregor, O'Reilly and Hatate. He's like the way the three are sort of gelling together, but I looks at it, I think probably the strongest three, isn't it? Yeah, because what was the three that started at the weekend? It was Beaton, Rogic and Christ, who was the other one that started at the weekend?
Hatate played, did he not?
Hatate, that's it. So do you that could work either way, Kieran? That could either allude to the fact, right, okay, we've left O'Reilly on the bench, he's going to come on, or he's sticking those two ahead of Beaton, going, okay, that's going to be the two. Where do you think it will go down?
I mean, I think it will be what Callum said, but I wouldn't be opposed to if he decided to start Tom Rogic instead of O'Reilly. I feel like the both of them are up to it. I know people say Rogic's never had the best of games at the weekend, but I feel he's a big game player, isn't he? So I don't know, I wouldn't be too fussed. That's what I'm saying. It's nice to have this sort of headache with selection because you've got confidence in all the players there to actually go out and do the job. So it's nice, but I think I'd probably start O'Reilly, to be honest with you. I'm like, as he said, I like the way they're playing now, but if Rogic starts, I won't be shedding any tears.
Yes, and the wingers has surely got to be Johnson and Forrest. Surely got to be. I think we'll see Jota and Abada return in those positions.
Strikers,
that's the big one, isn't it? who's it going to be?
Okay, see, before we even start on this, I don't know if you spoke about it in the last podcast.
No, we did not actually.
The level of stick that Maeda has been taking after some people is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, I don't know where that's actually came from.
I think that there's an element of it that people are just expecting the Kyogo effect. I honestly think, and I think we all said this in a podcast, like, right, let's calm down our expectation levels. Not everybody's going to come and hit the ground running, but then it doesn't help that Hatate comes in and he does. So I don't know if that's really all it is, but it's the same with Yakimakis as well. You know, they may not score a goal in a game or two, and suddenly everybody's on their back. You're like, my God, man, he's peace. You let him play.
We're getting goals for other places around the pitch, so there's no as much an emphasis on the striker having to be the out-and-out goal scorer. I feel like that's the case with a lot of teams in the league that don't have goals coming from everywhere. You notice near the top of the goal scoring charts in our league that is that Charles Cook for Ross County. It just reminds me of Liam Boyce getting the top goal scorer when we went invincible because he was banging in the goals for Ross County and
we were getting Cal, if you were to pick between the two, who are you taking up front tomorrow? I will be tomorrow the time this is out, in fact.
I think part of me's got to go with Yakimakis. Just the way he puts himself about, because I don't know anything about Bodo Glimt. I know their centre halves are big fucking brickies.
I'm assuming that they're going to have quite a physical team. I feel like the Scandinavian side.
What I've seen on Twitter, it's like they've got a pretty set in stone system that they've got players that, even though they lost players that have been able to come in and they've been learning it through the ranks at the team, that they're all playing the same way, the same system, so they're ready to step in seamlessly. Now I don't know, I've not watched, as we said, we've not watched much, so we need to read into the stats at me, but I don't know if they're going to play a high line, and if they do, I feel like that would suit Maeda to get the running behind. But if they are going to be sitting in defensively, Yakimakis can actually draw in the play and actually get the balls out to Jota and Abada. So I don't know,
6.5 dozen between the two.
It depends. Mine's fluctuates on whatever way they set up, but I'll go for Maeda just because people have been telling into him.
You know when you defended me, Maeda, is that your
I'm
man,
fucking roasting in here.
It is cooking, by the way.
I'm going to be beaten.
If you see us brightening up throughout the show,
that's burst into flames.
It's my bad for turning the heat away up. I think if I was to pick between the two, I'm really becoming, obviously my whole thing on Twitter at the moment is that I'm the leader of the Joe Hart fan club, but I think if there was a silent fan club that I'm a part of just now, it would be the Yakimakis one. I love him, so I think that Yakimakis would be my pick. But obviously, once again, like the midfield, I don't mind. It's a really good situation to be in. So that's your team predictions right there, as I scrub my beard off the mic. Now finally, to end it off, score predictions. How we feeling then in terms of score? I'll start with you, Kieran, over on the left hand side.
I mean, I'd take a clean sheet and a couple of goals, but I mean, if you're at home, you want to try and go for it. I'd love a 3-0. 3-0 would be a convincing one.
Wow, big result. Cal?
2-0, I'm feeling.
2-0?
2-0, nice professional performance.
You're fucking...
I wouldn't mind it too, man, but a 3 just gives you that extra cushion.
Yep. Especially if you go over there and they end up scoring early or
I
something.
know that.
That's when he'd start going. I think I'm going to go for 3. 3-1. I'll go 3-1.
Oh, boo.
I was going to say 3-0, but it'd be boring if I copied you, but I don't want to say we concede. Joe doesn't concede.
Oh, fuck off.
Listen, I don't know. I'll go for 3-1. That's it. 3-1 I'll do. So that's the Bodo section of the show done. There was something that I was going... Yeah, that's what I was... before we move on to the next topic of today's show, if you are listening on YouTube as you usually do, please keep in mind that if you want to listen on the go, you can listen on Apple Podcasts, you can listen on Spotify as well. Help us get up the charts in there. Leave us a review. Ideally 5 stars if you're a fan of the show, and that will help us get more listeners on those platforms. Thank you very much. Also, if you're a sponsor somehow and you're watching this, hit me up because we need money.
We don't swear that often, I promise.
See, but fair today we're doing a pretty good job, I think.
Wait till the second half.
Wait to hear what's next. It was 10 years since administration day yesterday, so I wanted to actually bring this up because if you're a Rangers fan, you're 25 minutes in. We say all the time it's a bit weird, but
thanks for sticking around.
Thanks for sticking around. I don't mind if you want to scout the opposition, but I didn't necessarily want to just bring up how did we enjoy it though, just saying all the memories. I had that Inverness away and all that was nice. Like Cal, we were 12-year-old. Do you remember it being as vibrant as it looks now? Because I remember it at the time, but looking back I feel like I didn't enjoy it as much as I should have.
No, definitely. I think it was one for the sort of, as you said, the ones that are about at least 10 years older than us, they would have celebrated it properly. We didn't really get a chance to, but
yeah, it's pretty funny, man.
Imagine we were 18 at the time. Oh, what a booze that would have been. What a booze that would have been.
I love seeing all the revisionists at it again, man. It's been a few months, man, but it's good to know the crackpots are still there.
This is exactly what I wanted to bring up. It wasn't so much the fact that I wanted to start talking about Rangers and laughing at Rangers on the Celtic podcast or whatever, because I know that's the part you usually get. The thing that I did want to bring up was the resurfacing of opinions on Celtic's 10 in a row. Now, I know you love these segments, Keir. It gives you a good chance to tear into folk.
I had to talk about this shit for about 6 months, man.
But it's starting again. Of course, Rangers fans taking great pleasure in reminding us that our 9, I was about to say our 10 in a row. Gone but not forgotten. Our 9 in a row. The Rangers fans are taking great pleasure in reminding us our 9 in a row was not a 9 in a row. Apparently it was tainted. Apparently we didn't win a feasible or a legitimate 9 in a row. Some honking opinions, Kieran Auld.
I know, when you think about it, I mean, we're 9 in a row. It was their fault that they couldn't get out the championship until the second time I asked, and it was their fault that they never paid their taxes and ended up in that situation. Yep. And I mean, with their 9 in a row, it was the most competitive the league's ever been. I mean, Celtic finished second how many times?
Twice,
yes. Twice in 9 years. Oh, honestly, Jesus Christ. It makes my blood boil. The absolute idiocy I see on Twitter, it's just... It'll drive you to the drink, man, honestly.
The one thing that I love, and I've never seen this one before until yesterday, it's the first time I've seen it, you get all those ones that were like, oh, they were singing about 10 in a row, they were singing about Terry Monroe for 10 years.
They brought a CD.
They brought a fucking CD. Like, come on, man. Like,
we could take it on the chin that
we lost, we fucked
it was getting last season, that, I mean, but I feel like I'd still be stewing a bit more if things were going awfully this season. But I've been allowed to calm down a bit, and the fog is cleared, and I can look forward. It's depressing, it never happened. Absolutely gutted at the time, and they had every right to take the piss, because we'd have done the exact same thing.
We did do the exact same thing back in the 90s.
Well, I mean, we never personally.
I was still a mere what's that again? Sparkle in the eye or something, twinkle in your
sperm.
Well, if you wanted to go there, that was it, yes. But no, of course, we would have took the piss back then like they did now, but it's just honestly, it just pisses me. I just don't get how one support can be so adamant on it not being a proper 9 in a row and not being one that... Listen, the whole point in competition, the whole point is you win, and we won. Doesn't matter who was against, we done it. We
beat what's in front.
Exactly. Callum, you don't use Twitter as much as like say me or McGinley or such. You're kind of a silent killer on there, but I take it you're in the same boat. You pissed off when you see all this?
It's the same fan base that annoys me, that they'll say, if we were to have won it, they say, oh, you never win 10 in a row. It's 9.75, but then they stopped us, so they stopped 10 in a row. Do you know what I mean? That's the mindset from it. It's baffling.
It's honestly,
lost the words.
Genuinely,
I'm trying to put any words, honestly, how much I'm just sighing on the inside right now. But
there's some of the part as well. There's certain accounts that we all fucking know fine well on Twitter. All the Twitter users who'll be listening on, there's certain accounts on there that try and make fun and try and have a laugh of it, and the patter is genuinely.
I see, if it was funny, then maybe you could sort of have a laugh at it. But honestly, like, some of the patter I've been seeing is dire.
Some of the things I read, they feel like they've been wrote out by... I don't even know how to put it nicely. I better just watch what I'm saying. But you read something and it's like broken English, and it seems like somebody who's just new to technology or whatever. It just honestly, I can't put down who's behind the screen, because they always have the same profile pictures. It's either the
Heart and Hand podcast.
It's either the Heart and Hand podcast or like the actual like 55 logo. And I'm like, oh my fucking god, man.
Weird bastards.
Yeah.
Man.
So that was fun though. Reminiscing, going down memory lane.
Down memory lane.
Yes, 10 years away. That's mad.
Right.
We were fucking still in P7 when that happened.
So now make it more depressing, right?
And now we are men. But talking about men, here's a man who lacks the qualities of a man. Stuart Robertson is the next topic for today. Yes, Celtic podcast, and I spoke about Rangers twice, but this one is, of course, massively involving Celtic. In fact, directly involving Celtic. Stuart Robertson was interviewed this morning by Sky Sports and was asked about the derby fixtures, the away allocations, and what will happen with them. It's been confirmed that away allocations will return for the next Christ, trying to get words out. Will return for the next two derbies. We will see the 800 fans at Ibrox and Celtic Park. But in the same interview, he's also confirmed that there will be no return for the old allocations. No 8,000 fans at Ibrox or Celtic Park after discussions between the clubs. And Stuart Robertson saying that this could maybe last for up to 2+ years, Kieran Auld.
I mean, it's nothing I wasn't expecting. We deep dived into the issue on the
flexing.
The video on TSF if no seen it, but I know nothing that's came as a surprise, to be honest. I knew it was going to be going back to 750, 800 we get in the corner, but it's just, I don't know, it would be good to actually get an away support back in, but it just seems futile with that little. But I don't know, I'm still on board for the old allocations to return, but I feel like with a lot of this, the pettiness is just increasing as the games go and as one passes. I've even started seeing a lot of Celtic fans taking up the sort of point of view I was seeing for a lot of Rangers fans before the last game, that we should not let them back in. That I know people might say, I don't want them in the stadium, but the atmosphere was good it was brilliant against Rangers, but we won 3-0.
Exactly.
That's why it was good.
Yep.
Like, you need the back and forth. Like, I'm going to stand by that. You need the back and forth. You need the full allocation, because their games were something else. Like the 5-0 game when we beat them back in 2018, they had the full allocation. You see it empty it before the final whistle. Like,
superb.
You can't beat that.
Kieran obviously talked about the back and forth there, how important that is. Winning 3-0 helps. Suddenly, you don't win 3-0 and it's a completely different atmosphere. It's kind of hostile in a way.
Poisonous.
Callum, it just feels like it's something that is getting further and further away from coming back.
Definitely. I think as like you said, the comments that came from the other side of the city saying we wouldn't see it for at least another 2 years. It's just grow up, man. Like, it's just so... It just takes so much away from the game. That's what the game was built on.
Yep.
The fact that the fans being there, that back and forth. Like, I remember at the 2 each game they beat us in penalties. That was the furthest round I've ever sat handling. We weren't too far.
Aye.
And we've got the Rangers in, so again you're hearing it constant back and forth. It's brilliant.
You have to cover your nose though.
But no, like again, that was brilliant because you had that atmosphere. But whereas, as Kieran said, if we hadn't won 3-0, it would have been a very different atmosphere. I feel. It
feels like you said. The first thing you said there, Cam, was grow up. Feels like asking a Rangers executive to grow up nowadays is just impossible. Like, it has become, and Celtic are of course guilty of stubbornness as well. But we know that this was There's undeniable that this was started on one side, and I feel like it's.
You can understand maybe why to let more fans in that you're in support. Fair enough, you've sold season tickets, but to try and act like that's the main reason when. They spat the dummy out, and it's as simple as that. And as somebody said in that video, Rangers need to be the first people to hold their hands up, and if they don't, then it's going to continue on. It's not up to Celtic at this point. Rangers are the only ones that will probably hold this back.
Now, see, this is the point I wanted to bring up. This is a question that I think that there could be maybe a change in this, and maybe it comes back if this happens, but it's so that you've got to rely on Celtic winning convincingly every time at Celtic Park. Do you think that if we were to perform at Celtic Park like that on every occasion, it could maybe persuade them or push them to make the decision to allow away fans back in? Because suddenly when you're 1-0 down, you've got no atmosphere to change that game. If you go down 1-0 3 minutes in, like Rangers did at Celtic Park, and this is what I'm saying, it's incredibly unlikely that's going to happen every single time we play them there, but there's only one thing that's going to be able to change that atmosphere, and that's a healthy amount of away supporters. Do you think that is maybe the only potential option to bringing it back?
It could be, because you look at Rangers, are 1-0 down, you're lost, and it was a fucking cauldron for them, and a lot of them couldn't hack it. And I don't know, I feel like you're in the danger of maybe it just being a complete home advantage now with each team. Is it going to happen every time we go there? I know it's no guaranteed to happen, but I feel like it's a lot more likely with a full home support. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of the people, we wouldn't get tickets for Ibrox even if it was the full Brimland, but I'm still on board with the idea of having it back. I feel like a lot of the people that are saying, I'd never let them back in, are people that wouldn't even bother their arse to want to go to these games in the first place. So I don't know, I feel like a lot of the people that go to the away games week in, week out are obviously on board with it, but I feel like they're getting held back by the opinions of people that wouldn't even think twice about going.
Yeah. Callum, I don't even know what to say next. Anything else to add in on Stuart Robertson and the Derby talk?
As I said, go on.
Simply, grow up, fuck's sake. Aye, it is quite annoying. I was annoyed when I woke up this morning. I seen that. I was obviously glad to hear that we're going to have a selection of fans back, but it's just it does feel sort of pointless. It'll be good for the people who get to know.
You'll be busy.
Brilliant for them, and hopefully they go over and they get the chance to embrace an empty Ibrox and celebrate wins. But it does feel futile. It really is fucking frustrating. I have no hope that we're going to see bigger allocations back.
I really don't see it in the next few years, because if they keep selling the season tickets, and especially with what's happening in the Broom one, like I think they want to start like a mad thing.
Standing.
I think that not get knocked back today as well.
Did it?
I don't know. I thought I seen Reece say something, but I don't know. I don't quote us on that, but I thought Reece said something like that. But nah, I don't know. I think they're very against the idea of moving the Union Bears out of that stand, so they need to come up with an alternative. Or I'd be even happy to see a compromise, like more than the 750, 800 tickets, because it's, as I said, it's futile, man.
No, get it up. You know, why start an ultras group in the Sellik end of the stadium? That's my question. It is, this is traditional Sellik end. Why have they picked that side of the stadium to start an ultras group? Don't get it. I mean, I know we're not kicking the arse off it. You're going to be in the Rangers end in our stadium, at least we've got the corner. Like, fuck me. No, fuck yous. Right. That's basically... It's warm. I don't know if I should get...
I get up and
Do you want me to get up and turn that around? Right, part one's about to end before Kieran explodes, so we'll be back for the second and final part of the show in a moment or two. Stay with us. Welcome back. As I said earlier, if you're a sponsor, you could have had your space there and give us money. So a couple of things to touch on very quickly before we move on to the final couple of sections and the Twitter questions and the traditional quiz. Dundee at the weekend, that follows on after Bodo. Sunday 3 o'clock kickoff. I don't know about you two, but I hate the Sunday games.
Oh, absolutely despise them.
Sunday games are horrible.
That's the only. That's why another reason why we need to be in this Champions League, because I want to be able to go to a game on a Saturday and have a pint. You know what I mean?
And on Sunday, feel like your weekend's coming to an end.
I know, you should be resting on a Sunday, you know,
the Lord's Day,
or podcasting on a Sunday. that's what we should be doing. Callum, we played Dundee at the weekend once again. Straightforward, hopefully. It's one of these games that you don't want to jinx, but come on, if up, we should be winning.
Definitely. I think you like to go out and just get another professional performance done. If you could have the game done at half time, then perfect. But I think the only hit puts a wee bit in me. I know it's Peterhead and such, but I sort of put like Dundee's tails up a wee bit. They've got a win now behind them.
Wee bit of optimism.
It pushes them, but you'd like just sort of go out and just kill all that optimism by half time, and it's a nice easy result.
Yep. Dundee picking up Niall McGinn in the transfer window. Kieran, he got his first goal against Peterhead. You had it on in the background. Did you watch them and go, might be a threat to Celtic?
No really, no, but I mean, I don't know. The only thing about Sunday is coming off the back of a European game. Celtic have been known in the past to maybe have a wee bit of European hangover, but hopefully that's something else that can be the hoodoo broken, because we can't afford to slip up in the league at all. We need to be perfect, and I don't think Angela allow a drop in standards. So
I'll have a preview show up for the Dundee game at the weekend. I'll talk about it a lot more in depth there. That should be live on Saturday, depending how rough I am after our night of Songs of Freedom on Friday. So and the very final thing before we move on to the last couple of segments, Ange Postecoglou's Stan Sports interview with the Australian media. Callum, I'm assuming you've seen the clips and such, and what he said. Just a class act of a guy, isn't he?
Definitely. I think he's one of the ones that has also come in along with his signings and has just got it. Simple as that. He's come in and very Celtic as a whole, and it's nice to have that with a manager. It's not somebody that's just come in, obviously doing their job, to a wee bit of interest for the club. It's nice that he's interested from top to bottom, it seems.
Kieran, a lot of people were obviously picking up on the first question. I think it was the first sort of moment about the whole history of Celtic and such, and he is a guy that seems just so invested in everything this club's about at the moment.
He seems all in with it. It's nice to see, because in the past you've thought managers have been all in with it, and I mean some have been in the moment, but then it seems down the line it turns out to have been smoking mirrors.
And don't be disrespectful.
I don't know. It's nice to see. It's nice to see that he's been everybody's taken to him so quickly after everybody doubting him at the start, us included, and it's nice to be proven wrong. And so he's just a lovely guy.
Aye.
And he's seen he buried the hatchet with the guy that was interviewing him.
Was that, how many years ago was that?
Probably about 10, maybe
mad,
now.
That's mad. At least he's buried the hatchet. He's made amends. He seems nice. It's crazy though. I know when he has, obviously, it's not like an Australian fan pointed this out to me in one of my videos, that it's not always been the case, and it just maybe seems like it for us. But the difference in how he comes across to the Scottish media and then the Australian media,
it's because the Scottish media are always looking for something to twist and
clickbait titles, and
whereas back there they're all supporting him, and
Aye.
he's flying the flag for Australian football over here, and they're all backing him and on board with him. But out here, anything any manager says is they're looking for something to scrutinise, or they're waiting for you to slip up. So he's not really walking eggshells with the Australian media.
for some things will never change. Scottish media, ladies and gentlemen.
Journalist bastards.
Imagine journalism. Imagine journalism. Right, okay. Final segment of the show. Final segments of the show. We might actually get an hour show done for the first time in fucking hell. God, when is the last time we managed to do a show?
Managed to rabbit on longer plenty of times.
We were talking in the chat today about what maybe the plans will be for the summer and what we're going to do, considering of course there's no football. And I was like, if we can even do half hour shows, that'll be great, because people love half hour shows, but it seems impossible for us. So wait and see what happens come summer. So usually McGinley hosts this part, which I like because it gives my voice a break and it lets people hear other voices. But he's not here this week. I'm the one with the laptop, so I'm just going to dance through the questions, and I'm going to go in a format of one question for Callum, one question for Kieran, unless there's one that I feel we all need to answer. Right, question number one, Callum Craig, from Adam. In terms of the Conference League, if we manage to win it, how big, actually this one's for both, I'd say, how big would it be for the club in terms of history, bragging rights for years to come? What do you think that would stand in Celtic's history?
I think it would play quite a big part. I mean, most of that's been the first year of it. If you're going to go and win it, known as the first ever winners in this Conference League, that'd be phenomenal, I feel. I think it's another European trophy. It's not as if it's just some wee daft cup, as if it's like a pre-season cup. It's something to actually go and celebrate.
What about you, Kieran? What are you thinking?
I think it would be a great achievement. It's nothing to be sniffed at, but you know people around the world take the piss, because even when this tournament was announced, people took the piss, and I feel like didn't England especially, Tottenham were getting it rotten for being in it in the first place, and then obviously not even making it through the group stages due to COVID and that, because they couldn't play the last game, etc. But I don't know, I'd be over the fucking moon if we were to make it to that sort of level. If
we made it to Tirana, the finals, and if we made it to Tirana, you'll see how much it means to Celtic with the amount of supporters willing to travel over and get over.
People could play that doing all they want, but who gives a fuck what everybody else thinks?
It's about what we think, maybe. Can I apologise very quickly? During this show, I've just realised that I've been playing about with the volume, and instead of turning Callum Craig up, I've been turning Kieran Auld up.
So Kieran's very sorry.
Kieran's probably been very loud at points when I thought it was Callum.
See, to be fair, it does it a favour. People complain about my breathing and nothing. That's why I've been very held back until I need to speak, and then I'm coming
I noticed it when I was editing.
I know, I didn't even... when I was sitting, I was like, am I too close to my nose? And I thought, no, I should be fine.
See, you sound great just now, but for like the last sort of 5 minutes, it was a wee bit quieter, and instead of turning you up, I was turning Kieran Auld up, and I never realised.
Screaming into the mic.
This is why I need an actual qualified producer on board.
Sponsors.
And they get sponsors will bring
that. That would provide one.
Imagine that. What a coincidence. Right, okay. In terms of what to do, I think obviously it's never going to be the levels of 1967 sort of glory, but I think to be the first ever winners of that competition and for another European trophy, ultimately it's something that I think us fans would cherish for a long, long time. So yeah. Let's see, next question. We've got Cal. This one goes to you. Shout out to Cal. If there was a Netflix documentary about last season, would you watch it?
I seen this earlier, and I was thinking to myself, I would just have to force myself to watch it, but I'd be pausing it and just screaming into a pillar every 2 minutes, I think, man.
Like, Callum, if you... Alright, here we go. Here's a question I'm going to spin off from this. Callum, if you could pick like one game or one moment of last season you'd like to see visited in documentary fashion, what would it be?
I think probably when Lennon left.
That one?
up at Lennox Town. Love to see all the players'
behind
reactions to
the
that.
scenes. See, me and Callum and Kieran are all big fans of the Drive to Survive series. If they could make it as good as that, it'd be great. Kieran, I think the one for me that I'd pick, I'd love to see the reaction when the fans like stormed Celtic Park like that day, like the protests and all that.
Remember the videos on the Man United team bus when the West Ham fans were tanning on Lingard's in the middle.
You just see fucking Diego Laxalt sitting there.
I'd like to have seen even over in Dubai or the Dubai following no particular game, just that whole scenario.
See the photo of Shane Duffy having a snout in the pool. I want to see the Bills
behind the bar.
Imagine watching the build up to that. Him and Lenny are sitting there on the phone, like at the reaction, like, oh, we fucked this. When I snouts it. Oh my god, that would be brilliant. If there was one, I would be watching it. Obviously, I'd be watching it, but it would be a painful watch, to say the least. A lot of Conference League questions in here, which were kind of already answered as well. The underrated hard man of the dressing room, says Jack Daly. Good question. Kieran, you got any shouts?
I don't know. I've nothing really off the top of my head, but as much as I've gave Greg Taylor stick, it was just what game was it? It was proper getting in about it. Was it Tynecastle?
Tynecastle. He was right up for it.
Throwing like pushes of it and that. I was like, well, this came for Greg.
Greggy, man, what were you, Kel? Any underrated hard men?
Yeah, I think I probably not agree with Kieran. I think that game at Tynecastle was sort of the changing point for them. Because in turn, it's been good performances from leading up as well.
Because I've gave him so much stick as well, I'm going to go for James McCarthy. I think he's a wee bit of a hard man, you know. He's shown it. He's got in it a couple of times. That Alloa game especially came on. Fuck you, bang. Deserve a wee bit of credit for that, Jambo. Well done, man. So that's who I would say. Good question. I mean, the next question involves Greg Taylor. It's not what I expected to see, but he said, who has the smallest willy and why is it Greg Taylor? we'll leave that one for today. It's not that kind of channel, mate. Instead, I'm going to tell you who's got the biggest. Kieran, friend of the show, big loyal. I'm looking forward to seeing you at Livy, my man. When is the Drink Prime sponsorship starting? Is that new?
The KSI
shite. Well, we've been asking for sponsorship throughout the show, so if KSI...
You just called it shite. It's not happening now.
Sorry. I love Prime. I never drink anything else. Prime, fucking bring it on. If you know, if you have a contact to KSI or Logan Paul, then feel free to send them my number or whatever. That'd be great. What's this? Will the legends use this question? Oh, this is a. How do you think? Right, okay. And somebody replied, ha, no, they won't use this question. We're using it. So Odran, I think it's Odran. He's asked, will the legends use this question? How well do you think Celtic right now would compete against the big teams in the Champions League, Liverpool, Man United, etc., etc.?
I think it's a nice thought to think that we could, but harking back to previous times in Europe, I've seen Celtic take many a doing. But wait, I mean, if you're going to English clubs in particular, we always seem to raise our game against English teams, but it's not to be, especially Liverpool. I think they would probably still hammer us, to be fair. I mean, it's not to be forgotten that we did get beaten 4-0 off of Leverkusen this season. It's not as if we managed to go through that group stage without a doing. We did get one, so I think it's a bit unrealistic to try and say that. I feel this. It's probably a question that's coming up as well, but it's because I remember seeing it. But it's the whole debate between the Invincible team and this team.
Right, there's the next one here.
Is recency a word? Like,
recency bias.
Recency bias. I feel like that's playing into a lot of things because we're so swept up in how good we're playing that now. It's easy to forget just how good that team was, and the achievement that they made was remarkable.
I'm not going to say this to sound cheeky, and I'm not trying to sound cheeky because I'm still a young boy. I'm 21, fuck's sake. I'm not over the hill quite yet. Get till March now, when I hit 22 I will be. But I think there's a lot of fans on Twitter who are young. There's a lot of fans who are right now, say 16, 17 years old, and when Celtic were going through that Invincible season, were at an age where I didn't really appreciate what Celtic were doing. When I was 12 and 11, I wasn't really appreciating what Celtic were doing. And we beat Barca and that was incredible, but I didn't really appreciate, in fact, how good we were at times. And I think there's probably a lot of fans who are around 17, 18 year old right now who were 12, 13 at that time and don't remember quite well how good we actually were. That team was incredible, and this team would certainly have a good go at playing them, but I don't know if we're quite there yet. I don't know. Need to wait and see.
Because I mean, you don't go invincible for nothing.
Exactly. I know Rangers obviously Clint Hill and fucking Senderos, that part of the, but I mean, it still was an incredible season. And we made the Champions League that season as well. So
took it down there.
So Callum, I was going to say to you, do you think a lot of that could change? You know, we see Rangers this week. In fact, they're playing Borussia Dortmund, who are traditionally one of these big Champions League teams. Do you think that sort of game could give an indication as to where Celtic and Rangers lie in terms of competing with sides like that?
I feel as if, but yes and no, because I feel as if obviously we set up very differently for Rangers, so it's not as if it's sort of like a very identical match-up. Then again, there's levels to that, so that's competing like to Liverpool, Man U and such. Well, in Borussia Dortmund, they're sort of, you don't write off Borussia Dortmund, they're still one of the European giants, but they're sort of like, I don't feel they are what they once were.
Sleeping giants.
Like, you look back to like that 2012 team, they reached the final, that was a ridiculous team for them.
Yep. So Kieran, I don't know why this has been asked, but how big is Kieran's chopper? It's in there. I'm imagining you want to keep that one private, Kieran. I don't
Keep
know.
that one under wraps for now.
Aidan, another friend of the show, and I love it when they bring in things that aren't Celtic related. I think this is what separates us from the other Celtic podcasts, because there's some great podcasts out there, but we can have a wee bit of a laugh and a chat about other things. But Aidan, another friend of the show, hi gorgeous men. First of all, meow. Second of all, what is your favourite Netflix show? He says, and why is it Outer Banks? I've never watched that.
Never seen it.
I don't even know what it's about. What is it?
I've seen the trailer pop up, but
don't know what it is.
I can't recall it. See, when you say Netflix programmes, it may be a Netflix original here.
I'm assuming so. But what would you say if it wasn't?
If I was to go out in a lemon and just maybe say one that people might not have watched, I'd say Timeless.
Timeless.
See, when I found that on Netflix, unreal.
Aye.
If you've not seen it, go watch it.
Never watched it. No, watched it.
But if it had to be a Netflix original, that's a tough one, because
is Outer Banks a Netflix original?
It will be. Sex Education's good.
Brilliant show.
You's good. Stranger Things. Good, yeah. They're just the pure basic answers, but I don't really have anything. I can't really think anything.
I can't remember if it is. I don't know if it is, because if it is, I'd say Better Call Saul. But I think
that is a Netflix.
Is that a Netflix original?
I'm sure it is, because Netflix was the ones bringing it out every weekend.
I'd go with Better Call Saul then. That's my answer. Or Drive to Survive, which we alluded to.
Season 4, March 11th.
Oh, my birthday. My birthday's quite eventful actually. So, Drive to Survive is my birthday, and WWE 2K22 is released, and also birthday celebrations. So busy day for me. Callum, you got a favourite Netflix show?
I think it probably Drive to Survive at Ozark.
Ozark? Never watched that either.
Quite enjoyed it. Worth watching.
There you go, Aidan. There's your answers. No one saying Outer Banks. Apologies. Okay. Sideshow Bob, back in, a regular contributor in these comment sections. Love it. I'm currently rewatching Simpsons season 8. If that's, fun to anyone. But he's brought up something we never touched on. In fact, that Christopher Julian is back. We've seen him return at the weekend. He came on against Raith Rovers. He says it was good to see Julian back against Raith. You could see why he was rusty, which was expected after being out for so long. He needs to get back up to speed. Where do you see him getting a chance with the partnership of Starfelt and CCV? I don't really see where the chance comes.
I think he'll maybe get some minutes on Sunday against Dundee.
Yep.
I think if we're comfortable at half time, I can see him getting a full half if Aaron thinks he's ready for that. But on another note, I missed him coming onto the pitch. I was away in the toilet. I came back, but I was everybody cheering for him.
He sat down there, I was really cheering for him. I was like, Julian.
I thought I'd missed a goal or something. Is that right? It's nice to see him back. But
yeah, Cam, you're a big Julian fan. You chuffed to see him back, aye?
It's nice to see him sort of back in the pitch, get minutes back into himself. Obviously, I'm liking this partnership of Carter Vickers and Starfelt, but I would like for them to sort of push back into that team. So I don't want to see either of those two dropped, but it'd just be nice to see him back in.
One thing I've missed is an aerial threat for a corner, but Julian was exactly that.
He's a major one for that.
Now, this is big, because I think we must be making a name for ourselves about talking about food so much, because there's just a comment here, and I've went and fucking lost, and here we go. Another Aidan, he said, it's not a question, but can we please make sure that there's a food conversation at some point in the podcast, please and thanks. We must be making a name for ourselves. Last week was last week pieces, or was that a cut up?
No, it was rolls. It was soft as desperado.
Oh, that was right.
And there's the talk of the wee Irish potato.
Potatoes, of course. So I'm going to go. I'm trying to scroll through to see if anybody has asked their own food question.
The closest I seen to one was brown or red sauce. That was it.
Oh, I seen that. So that's a topic, because I could talk about that.
Brown or red?
Right. Brown sauce belongs on two things:
Right.
a Scottish pie
Scotch pie.
and a piece of crispy bacon. Crispy. I know.
Oh, aye.
Bacon should be no other way. It should be crispy. And tomato sauce with square sausage, links, tortoise scone.
Now, I'm going to stop you right there because me and David Buick had this on TSF a couple of weeks ago, and we are both in agreement that crispy bacon might be the most overrated thing in the world.
I would like to tender my resignation.
It is good, but I think it's overrated.
I bet you like that shit you get at the Weatherspoons breakfast. Put it on the radiator for 5 minutes.
I like a good.
Whacked on your plate.
I like a good bit of British back bacon, nice and soft. You know, no like
I
no
like,
like a
I
pure
like a
rubbery
bacon
way.
medallion. I'm not saying I sit out to get streaky bacon, but it needs to be crisped up, man.
So brown sauce belongs. So it's
Piece of bacon,
Piece of
but
bacon.
it has to be crispy bacon.
Right. But what would you pick altogether, red or brown?
Red overall for the amount of things I would put
Right.
it on, but brown is just immaculate on
Nice.
a piece of crispy bacon.
Right, cool. But you red or brown?
Red.
Red.
Nah.
Aye. It's just I'm one of the people that have it on absolutely everything in a substantial amount as well. I'm a bit of a child like that.
Yeah. Like see with a normal dinner, like a puddle or a oil kind of guy.
You know me, I'm an all over kind of guy. You're a
Because
puddle.
that's another debate, isn't it?
Nah,
Yeah,
I don't like the puddle.
Do you think there's anybody out there that's still using the muddy glass bottles? Ketchup. I
I fucking hate that.
Sitting there pure gently trying to balance how you got out your piece of sausage and a Sunday pure rough.
It's like Nando's when you get the fucking curry sauce, man. It's in the glass bowl and you're sitting there
I
spinning
feel
it
like I've been put back in a time machine.
I didn't
Man.
take the fucking. I didn't take the lid off. That's horrendous.
Right, what were you saying, Kieran?
I feel like you're putting a time machine going back using glass bottles, man.
I don't know why do people fucking see when you go to a restaurant and they get a glass one. You're like, come on, you can't be that posh, man. You got just get a fucking plastic one.
It's not the same in the hotels. You can get in the wee jars.
Oh,
I'm not fucking taking it out and spreading it. Fuck off. It's not butter. Honestly, it's stupid.
spreading it in your
Sitting
legs.
down at half edge.
I see. Like the wee fucking. I know you're talking about the wee ceramic sort of thingies. Aye.
The promise of an hour-long podcast is in the bin.
Brown or red sauce, and how do you like it? But no, I'm not. What are you, puddle or oil?
I think for me it depends. What I mean,
I'm a puddle, man.
Aye, that fucking annoys me. What happens when the puddle runs it?
Put me up.
well,
What if you're out and about? Say it's for a snack fan.
Go back.
take it away.
Take it, sorry. I'll be taking this. Okay, right. There's so many questions this week. And there's actually like.
When are you a snack fan?
It's like a point. The people
When's
like
the last
to
time
sit
you
here.
were a snack fan?
Last time I was at a snack fan, Christ. I think it was. I remember it would have been 2018, July 2018.
The snack van frequently. When I'm out in a boot on the go, got the snacky.
Fuck off. Right, we'll move on to that. But I like that we got our food one in. So, Aidan, your wish has been granted, you could say. If you were wanted, that's a good question as well for Fergie. If you were any member of the Celtic squad, who would you be? You want a quick answer? You know who I'd be. I'd be Joe.
I'd be Jota just so I could stay and sign the contract.
Oh, smart. Calm, any thoughts?
Fuck. It's not like respect things, but I don't know. O'Reilly, handsome bastard, can fucking play football.
Nice. That's cool. Right, Aaron Smith. Who in the current Celtic team has the worst taste in music?
Just guessing. I'm going to go James McCarthy.
James McCarthy.
I just can't imagine.
You ever
bet you like silence.
Sea Milk Crew and all that. He's a kissing little boy. You would sit and listen to that. James McCarthy's a decent shout. I would go for. I love him, but I'm going Carol Starfelt.
Which sort of music do you think he listens to?
I don't know, but have you ever seen that video when he's like,
Aye.
just that? I was like, what is this shit? So I'm going to go Carol for that. Cal,
Probably Beaton.
Beaton.
I feel like he just listens to static.
Just
That's what he
static.
listens to.
Talking about music, here's a good one. Aaron McIntyre, best Katy Perry song. Love that, Katy Perry. What an icon. The kid's got his fighting face on.
Tea cake shout there.
Wee tea, hot and cold is obviously an option. Do you know what I think the most underrated Katy Perry song is? And it might actually be my pick. This Is How We Do. What a tune, by the way. That was a tune. That's mine. This Is How We Do. That's my answer.
I'll just go with the classic California Girls.
California Girls, aye. Are you an enjoyer of Katy Perry, Kel?
I can't ask them last night. Katy Perry, I'm trying to think here.
She fell off a bit, didn't she?
When she cut her hair,
Fireworks started to piss me off even back then. It was just well overplayed.
I also like Birthday. That was good. Enjoyed that. It's a good song.
Teenage Dream.
TGIF.
Teenage
Dream. That might be my favourite.
That's a good one as well.
I'm going to hit me listening to Katy Perry. I'm not going to fuck.
He's asked for top 5, but we'd be here all day, so I'll ask for one. We'll go through 3 more questions after this. Your favourite Celtic chant since 2010, he said. But your favourite Celtic chant ever, we'll go for. That's Peter who asked that.
It's a good tune.
Peter.
That's a very good one. I don't know, like, see, even think it was more like years ago as well, but it's still good when we got the full stadium, but when it's you just can't get enough. Like, see when the full places are rocking, man, like everybody's joining in. It's a classic.
Cal?
Hey, I don't know. I think Kieran's hitting there on the head with that one. That's fantastic. But
because I know
if I go with the fan ones, I could probably go. I like the Armstrongs.
There was a golden age of chants, and it was like 2016 to 2018. I mean, we're kind of getting there the new year's chants, to be fair, but 2016 to 2018 produced chants like no other, because mine has got to be it's going to make me cry, right? But I loved Brendan Rodgers.
By the way, another one. If I'm going for ones like that, Scott Sinclair for me.
Sinclair's was phenomenal.
Scott Sinclair's
unreal.
Cracker. It was a real, as I said, it was a golden age for one. So we'll try and go through 3 more questions. And as I always say, if you're not fortunate enough to have your question answered this week, we do appreciate you putting them in anyway. We do this every week anyway. If you really want a question answered, just make sure to keep putting it down there, and I'm sure we'll come across it at some point. Oh Christ, that would be here all day if we'd done that. Oh, there it is, red or brown sauce in a row. Just seen that there. Oh my God, it's Family Guy or American Dad?
American Dad.
Really?
Yep.
You'd pick American Dad?
I'll die on this hill, genuinely.
Really?
Family Guy drops off massively after like season 11.
I'd agree with that.
But American Dad, see, just for years, like for a good period, consistently, it was just absolutely hilarious, man. And I just love American Dad, honestly. It's brilliant. I think Roger's probably the best character.
What about you, Cam?
I think probably just for the nostalgia, I thought I'd probably go Family Guy. I think it's just because I didn't watch American Dad as much.
I've seen about 2 episodes yet.
Yeah, I feel like it's the same with a lot of people. It came on after Family Guy and I never watched it, and I'm like, watch it, it's brilliant.
Probably, is it on now?
Disney Plus.
It's like the exact same situation as Futurama for me. I've seen The Simpsons religiously, but never watched Futurama.
I like Futurama. Not as much as your man for the Heart and Hand podcast.
See, Spunkphone was having a good laugh with that.
Don't need to see that on my timeline.
I did. Right, good question here from Dilge, back to Celtic related. Why have we not heard anything about Bolingoli? Is he still training with the first team? He seems completely out of favour. What is happening with Bolingoli, do you think?
He's more happy to run down his contract, I think. I'm pretty sure I've seen the reply. It was saying that he's out of contract in the summer, so if he's going to get paid decent wages here, he's not sure into other clubs to take him on at the wages he's on, because I'd imagine he's on a no bad amount for when we signed him and that. Like, it was a player we spent £3 million on at the time.
Yep.
So he's probably on a no bad wage. It's going to put a lot of teams off the fact why he's not playing for Celtic. So he's more than happy to run his contract and sit in the reserves and just steal a wage.
Callum, we've seen him appear randomly against Livingston, and I can't remember Motherwell. Do you think we'll get any of that ever again from now to the end of the season?
I feel like if again Greg Taylor's injured and Liam Scales away for his fucking bird's birthday that Jordan Crone at some point might get chucked in there, but I don't think we'll see him again in a Celtic shirt.
Shout out to Jordan, who's I'm not going to disclose.
He probably will not be watching the video at all.
I don't think so. I don't think he has any intentions of doing so. Finally, last question that I want to get on to, but before that, shout out to Beans. He is raging that we didn't ask Matt O'Reilly about who has the aux cord in the Celtic changing room. It is one that we need to know the answer to, I suppose, because Brown is gone and he was in charge of it.
Also, I'm pretty sure Tierney fancied his sell on the tunes.
Yep, the Scott Bruns as he calls them. But I mean, whoever is on that aux cord, I still think it's Joe or Juranovic. I think it's one of those two. I really do.
I seen some, I don't know if it was AJ Celtic on Twitter the other night saying that Joe Hart's just got a pure 2012 playlist with Carl and Ray Jepson. I'm
honestly considering if I ever have a party for it, I've never had a party. I've never been popular enough.
Get your hankies out.
But if I ever have a party, I'm genuinely going to theme it like 2012. Like I want to do it so much.
You gotta dress up like LMFAO.
Yeah, I'll put on a pair of fucking tan chinos and a varsity
Pair of
jacket or
Vans.
something. A pair of Vans, that'll be fucking class. I'm going to, honestly, I've had a right kick recently listening to David Guetta, and I love David Guetta. Like, I adore David Guetta. We did not deserve David Guetta at his peak. My God Almighty.
I mean, what's that song? Club Can't Even Handle Me.
Oh mate, the best
Such
is
a tune, man.
Where Them Girls At. That is generally
2012 was such a good, like, that era for pop music. Like, it was unreal,
cool.
man.
Who's-
So you got 2008 to 2012.
I genuinely mean it. I genuinely mean it. Who's That Chick is probably one of my top 10 favourite songs of all time.
That's blasting my head.
It is an absolute anthem. But Joe Hart's playlist would be cracking. I want to hear it if he's got one. And finally, the last question I'm going to ask before we go into the quiz, the very, very last question. Favourite non-Celtic related tune? Have you got a favourite tune? Just on the topic of music, and that's Sean that asks that.
Wait, is this just
I don't know, he just says favourite non-Celtic related tune.
I don't really know. I don't really listen to any of the stuff that's came out
Anything,
recently.
I don't listen to that new stuff, you know. What's the good
Jay, I
listen?
couldn't tell you it was in the charts, to be honest. Was that mad song that's big on TikTok now for that Frank Ocean? It came out like 10 years ago, but I genuinely hadn't heard it until recently. It's a pure tune.
That Young Lean song's blowing up on TikTok right now as well, and you know, some even that Mason Ramsey song, that was like 2017 or something. People that man, like,
Everybody thinks it's recent.
I know, I'm like, bro, a bit late in the time. Favourite non-Celtic related tune. My favourite. It's just.
I bet that's just directed to like another club's fan songs, to be
A
honest.
greasy chip butty.
Oh, my touching
I maybe go for that, by the way. That's a belter. Anybody? Any favourite chant that's not Celtic related? Something like that? Anybody got one?
I quite like. I know you've said that. I haven't even remembered that. I quite like Greasy Chip Butty.
I would have to go for the Georgie Best chant. I'm gonna go on the piss with Georgie Best. That's my favourite.
Yeah, fuck my
I just like Greasy Chip Butty's Annie's song by John Denver. That's a tune.
That's right, aye. Think of any Cal at all?
No, Jenna, that's coming to mind.
Going blank.
I quite like the Coutinho one that got done.
Ah,
You and
that's
David
great.
had a
Well,
Have to
listen,
bear that.
that's on
I
our
seen what's
podcast.
it called, Everton fans were singing Mr. Saxobeat and sang all the words
Oh,
from
Donny
Mr.
Van de
Just
Beek,
changed it to Donny Van de Beek.
You got to respect the hustle, I suppose. Right, that's it done, which means it's the final part of the show. It doesn't work right. It doesn't even work right anyway. So I need to try and fix it on this machine. It's time for the if you know your history quiz. It's going to be Kieran against Callum Craig today. Once again, I've got a break from my voice, which is a real fucking shame. I'm going to have to start dishing these out, these segments more often. Thank you to Matthew Duff once again for the quiz this week. It's going to be Callum against Kieran as the league table currently stands. McGinley played 2, 1-2. Me played 3, 1-2. Kieran played 2, 1-1. Callum, you've played 3 and lost 3, mate.
Who the fuck about his name it is? It's a scoreboard. Wins one after about fucking 3 years.
Is it Gordon Day or Mark Guidi or something?
Probably fucking Mark Wilson. He's just
Alex Ray.
Baldy banger. Oh fuck, who is it?
You should know, you're a frequenter.
I could get pulled into a relegation scrap here.
You could. You've got to get a wee win. If you win, you'll be tied with me, Callum. You really need to win. We'll just get into it. Callum, since you played in the last episode and lost, I'm going to give you the courtesy of choosing if you'd like to go first or second.
Fuck it, let's go first and get out of the way.
Right, okay, here we go then. It is time for the If You Know Your History quiz. It's Callum Craig up first, and as Fabrizio Romano would say, here we go. Bodo Glimt is the most northerly club in the Elite Serien. True or false?
Sure, turn the Arctic Circle. I wish I knew anything about that, like, I don't know. False.
I'm
Correct.
pretty sure Rosenborg and
No, it's not
because
Rosenborg.
Trondheim's quite high up, I know, but
The answer is Tromsø, EIL, who are the most northerly. Bodo are second.
really?
Aye.
I thought Trondheim was above wherever Bodo is.
Well, apparently,
And if you
it's
know your
false.
geography.
And if you know your geography. And no, apparently Tromsø first. Bodo, well, Trom in the name, they might be from Oh well, that's Tron, innit? Tron
time.
Ignore me. So there you go. Callum Craig 1-0 up. Kieran to equalise. Matt O'Reilly has played with Phil Foden at England youth level. True or false?
True.
Correct. He's played 2 games at under 18s versus Brazil and South Africa. There you go, 1 apiece after the first round. Callum, it's your second question. How many points did Bodo Glimt manage to take from AS Roma in the Conference League group stages?
4.
Correct, as we said earlier in the
I was
podcast.
trying to remember. I knew one was a win. I was trying to follow one.
2-0 and a 6-1. Kieran once again to make it 2-0, and you should be getting this. Which former Celt scored against Bayern Munich at the weekend?
Oh, Christian Gamboa.
An absolute cracker of a
Scary
goal.
goal.
Brilliant from Christian Gamboa. 2-0, Bochum with a fantastic 4-2 victory over the German leaders. Question 3, Callum. Who is the last Celtic player to score in a European knockout tie? So who scored the last goal for Celtic in a knockout European game?
Edward?
Correct. That's right. Well done. Brilliant. So far, 100%. Kieran, can you keep it at
Cheers for
that?
that pressure.
Question 3 for you. Who is the last Celtic player to receive a red card in a European game? Any European game?
Beaton.
Correct.
Was that against Midtjylland?
Midtjylland. It's the last time we received red
Couldn't
card.
remember if we got one in
The groups.
In the groups.
Or we could have any round after that. I suppose that was the first round. I suppose of qualifying. So it's 3-0 heading into round 4. My God almighty.
Is this a new record for us?
It might be. It might be. Right, question 4, Callum. Who is the oldest member of the current Celtic squad?
Joe Hart?
Correct. Joe Hart, 34 years old. And the second, James McCarthy at 31. Decently young squad at Celtic. So it's 4 out of 4 for you, Kieran. Your question number 4. Which defender has the most assists for Celtic this season in all competitions?
Ralston.
Correct, it's Tony Ralston. After that, Scales and Taylor are joint on 2. Ralston has 6. Which means, final question
Jesus.
for you, Callum Craig. Can you make it 5 out of 5? Which former Celt has previously played for Bodo Glimt?
Jesus.
A dramatic ending
Just trying to players I've played earlier.
to this fascinating quiz.
Ooh.
Johansson?
It's correct! It's Stefan Johansson. Was that a guess?
I
Aye.
was just trying to
Brilliant guess. So Callum Craig on 5 out of 5 has left it up to Kieran in dramatic fashion here. And Kieran, I have a good question for you here, right? Which Celtic player has the highest average points per game when playing? Honestly,
Carl Starfelt.
so close.
Carter Vickers.
It's James Forrest. James Forrest. However, Carl Starfelt is second. Unlucky,
That's a
Kieran
gutter.
Old. Unlucky.
As soon as you said Forrest, I was like, how's that?
I don't know the method behind the madness. I'm no statistics man.
But
But
it's
good
also
quiz,
because Forrest hasn't played as many.
apparently James Forrest is on 2.52 per game. And then second is
I
Carl
thought I seen him
Starfelt.
had a stat earlier saying that Starfelt had like played like, the most, sort of
2.42 for Carl Starfelt. And Joe Hart is joint with him as well, if you want to be technical about it. So it's a joint second. Joe Hart, Carl Starfelt. That's a gutter.
I would never have said Forrest.
I knew you wouldn't. I
but
knew you'd win it as soon as you got your Johansson, because I would never have said Forrest in a million years. But there's your answer, James Forrest. He is the winner, and that means our winner this week of the quiz.
Finally,
And his first win is Callum Craig. Well done, well done.
Did we have a tiebreaker question?
We did have a tiebreaker question, so it would have been another one of these number-related ones. Stephen Welsh has been in the most squads this season, but how many has he been involved in? So it would have been closest to get it. You want to throw a number out?
I'd have said 22.
That's it. 22.
I don't know, I feel like he's not played a lot.
Most squads.
Oh, right, I thought you
Nah,
meant No, see, I thought it was like because you said squads and I said involved in. I thought you meant actually.
Right,
came in and
okay,
played,
no, just involved in squads altogether.
34.
Not the worst guess.
42.
Very close. 43. He's put 43/44. I don't know how one
Just
can
wasn't
miss.
sure.
So that's the answer, and that is it. That's the quiz done, and Callum gets his first win of the season. Well done.
Finally.
Well done.
That was a hotly contested quiz.
That was
that was a
the
jack quiz,
best
that
one yet. I think people at
Very
home
good.
will be on the edge of their seat like they're watching the chase. Bradley Walsh, me here. Right, that's it. That brings it to the end of the show today. Kieran Auld, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Callum Craig, thank you.
This is all mine.
If you're out on Friday singing songs of freedom, then I hope to see you. Me and Kieran Auld will be there singing songs of freedom. And Callum, I don't know what you'll be doing, but
If I can get a ticket sorted.
well, there you go. We can
The
all be,
three of us will be out.
by the end of the night, we'll be political prisoners. Thank you. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. As I said, if you're on Spotify or iTunes, please, or Apple Podcasts, sorry, please make sure to hit us a 5-star review. And see you next time.